What's going on, guys? John here, the Wolf of Ecom, and I got something really important I need to talk with you about today, okay? We're gonna talk about Facebook agency ad accounts. And before we get started, a couple things I wanna tell you. First, hit the like and the subscribe button if you get something from this video. I can promise you I'm the only person talking about this stuff on the internet, okay? So make sure to do that right away so you will stay up to date with what is and isn't working when it comes to Facebook bans and frustrations with you just getting shut down or restricted, okay? And if you haven't already, make sure to check out in the link in the description to this video, my free guide that will give you an overview of how to create this system for yourself so that you can work around instant bans, shutdowns, or restrictions, which are usually coming from doing absolutely nothing. So let's jump right into the content, okay? And what I want to talk about today is what are Facebook agency ad accounts. Now, you've probably heard about these floating around the Facebook groups if you're in Ecom Elites or Verum Ecom or even my own Facebook group, which you should check out, link in the description below, where I share a lot of awesome content like this. Facebook agency ad accounts are, well, it's quite simple, right? So there are basically businesses that have set up business managers in other markets, typically outside the US, and they have first of all, a high spend volume, right? So we're talking $1 million plus a month in ad spend, okay? And the second thing is that they have a direct relationship with Facebook. No, not one of these BS Facebook chat or when they email you and say like a marketing partner or whatever the terminology they use is. It's all baloney. These experts that will contact you once you start spending on Facebook actually have no idea what they're doing. They're idiots. They're incompetent. Okay, maybe they're not idiots. That's a little bit extreme, but they're not competent to the degree that you need to be as an actual media buyer or a e-commerce business owner. Okay, that is the absolute truth. They've given me terrible recommendations. If you take an even 5 minutes to have a call with them, they'll tell you to like run reach campaigns or like campaigns or all these things that don't really get you to your desired outcome, which is typically going to be either to generate leads or to generate sales, not just get likes, comments, and shares, okay? The other thing is too, these Facebook agency accounts, okay? So they have a high spend volume, they have a direct relationship, and I don't want to say they're invincible, but they will not get wiped out, right? So like, let's say I gave you a business manager right now, it was verified, I attached it to your profile, you didn't have restrictions. If you did like one or two things the wrong way, which I talk about in that free guide, which you should check out right now, well, what I can promise you is that you will get things disabled, okay? Or you at least could, right? So these agency accounts are not going to have that. Before they get shut down, a more extreme extent, right? So they might have an ad account disabled here or there, but generally speaking, they're going to a direct reach out from their Facebook rep. They'll actually have a dedicated rep, someone that is assigned to them to service them because they are a high spender, okay? Now, what these very smart people are doing is now they're leasing out ad accounts to someone like myself or maybe you watching this. They know that we've been having issues with Facebook banning our ads and restricting our profiles and disabling our business managers and basically putting us out of business for the most part, okay? I've seen this with brands, I've seen this with dropshippers, I've seen it with my own stores. So the biggest benefit that they're going to find by servicing you is that you need them, okay? Unless you, of course, build up my system, which I talk about in the Bulletproof Facebook guide. Check it out right now. But, you know, a lot of people still ask me about this. I get DMs every day and they're not asking about how do I set up a structure like you talk about in your content. They should be. But what they're actually asking me is how do I get these agency accounts, okay? And they think that it's like this simple thing that you just switch over, plug your credit card in, and then you start using right away. But I'm here to tell you the truth, okay? And it's not as good as it sounds. They are a solution, but they are not the best solution, okay? And either way, you will absolutely need to build up an infrastructure like I talk about in some of my other videos with like multi-login, having multiple profiles. All those things still need to be in place because they're only going to extend an ad account to your business manager and to your profile. So if you don't know what you're doing, which most people don't, it's just the truth, you're going to still get things disabled and get restricted and all those terrible things that you've seen, you've probably been going through yourself, which is why you're watching this video, or you've been hearing about, okay? So how it usually works is you get putting direct contact. Like I have a contact that I only refer select people to, and I'm not just saying that for like hype or something like that. I was referring people out to my prior contact like crazy. It was just a lot of work back and forth with me contacting, being DM'd and then having to ask questions to see if they're the right person, and then connecting them, and then it like not really going anywhere, and I'm just kind of wasting my time. I'm kind of wasting the agency account provider's time, right? So I genuinely only extend these connections to my private clients, just the honest truth, okay? But I wanted to still make this video to educate you on what they are, because they're not the silver bullet. They're not going to solve all your problems. You're still going to have problems if you don't have a system in place. The base of the way it works is they'll give you they'll extend an ad account, ideally verified business manager, to your business manager that has no spend limit, right? Because it's attached to a agency business manager, okay? And what this means is that you can scale to the moon right away. But it's not as good as it sounds, okay? First of all, they're not invincible. Still can't run black hat ads or affiliate offers that Facebook hates. You will absolutely get things disabled and probably burn the relationship with the provider, okay? So just be aware of that. This is not gonna solve all your problems. You can't just start selling, trying to think of something funny you shouldn't be selling. Probably don't want to say stuff. Actually, it's on YouTube. I'll get like demonetized or something. Not that I make money from this channel. You will be able to spend like crazy right away, which is super cool. But the drawback is, first of all, you need to typically wire transfer money in advance. So you can't just plug your Amex Gold, which I recommend, and I use them all my own ad accounts. You can't just plug your Amex Gold or your credit card or your charge card or whatever it is directly in and then just run it like normal, okay? You will have to transfer money in advance. Usually wire, bank transfer, some sort like that. Depends on the provider, how they want to do that. But that's not the only problem, okay? So think of it like if you ever had like a prepaid cell phone where you had to like top it up. That's basically what you're gonna be doing. Okay, so you're gonna be prepaying in advance. So if you're in dropshipping, for example, where you typically depend on cash flow, right? So you make sales now, you get cash up front, ideally next day if you have a solid merchant like I do, okay? Maybe 2 to 3 days if you're in the US and you're using Stripe or Shopify payments, right? But bottom line is you get your cash relatively fast before you have to turn around and pay your supplier, which maybe you're on like a weekly schedule, okay? Hopefully you're not buying directly off AliExpress or Oberlo or something like this. Hopefully you're working with a private agent directly, but that's a whole nother video in itself. Now, the biggest drawback to this is you're gonna need to prepay, right? So we're talking like sending a couple $1,000s typically, at least like 5 to 10 grand, 5 to 10,000 US dollars in advance. You could probably start with $1,000 or $2,000, but it's not really gonna be worth their time to service you. So I wouldn't recommend it, okay? You need to be a serious player, you need to have a ton of cash, and you need to be in a position where you don't need to make a profit for the next couple of weeks, maybe even the next month, okay? This is someone where this would make sense, right? And that has already built up a system like I mentioned. Now, you will have to wire transfer the money typically, and there is a time delay. So that can be, let's say you don't actually see it hit their account and the cash doesn't clear for maybe 48 hours, and then you throw in a weekend. So that could be 72, 96 hours, right? And then maybe there's a holiday. So we're talking over 100 hours before your account is topped up and loaded. Now I actually I tested a few of these services earlier in the year when I first started having serious issues, and I was really figuring things out and building up my system, okay? And what I found was that it's gonna be different. First of all, the fee you pay, okay? And then the time to top up, right? So let me give you 2 examples. I worked with one provider that was charging me 10%. So if I wanted to spend $1,000, I would have to send this person $1,100. It was crazy. It was eating my margin, I would not recommend it, okay? They had the best service. They were the fastest top up, typically about 2 to 3 days, but they were killing my cash flow, right? And I've gone from being able to use a service like American Express Gold, where I get essentially a discount because they reward you for select categories such as media buying, Facebook ads. You get maybe like 3 to 5% back in points, which you can then pay your bill or pay whatever you want to pay, right? So that's a huge piece. That's a huge problem, okay? The simple fact that you will go from maybe getting a discount if you're using a rewards point credit card to paying a premium on top of your ad spend and not getting those reward points, which sucks. So it makes a massive difference in your margin, okay? And on the other hand, I tested another agency account provider that was only 6%, right? So a little bit easier to digest that, right? So going from, instead of, for that same $1,000 in ad spend, I would then need to send them 1,060 versus 1,100, okay? That does make a difference, but still, the problem was the last time I topped up with them, it took almost 2 weeks for them to actually credit the account where I can actually start spending money. So it killed my ability to scale a winner when I had a hot winner in place and we were starting to scale, and I literally had to just sit on my hands until this guy topped it up, and yeah, it did not go well. Okay, I didn't get scammed. That is something else I want to mention. I have heard of people sending money and wiring money, probably just from some person they found like in a Facebook group, swearing they had the best connection, right, to one of these agency account providers, and literally getting scammed by just wiring money and then getting ghosted on. This does happen, especially in the e-commerce space. This stuff is not uncommon, unfortunately. So there's your 3 main drawbacks, okay? The fact that you need to prepay via cash, wire transfer, and there's a fee on top versus a discount for rewards points. So I don't like paying more than I need to for anything, especially ad spend, which is one of my biggest expenses. Okay, and then on top of that, there is a risk of getting scammed. Now, I do have a connection to one agency account provider. Full transparency, I haven't used them myself, but I know people that have, and I got the introduction. And like I said, I only refer them to private clients, so this is not a pitch in YouTube. I'm just telling you there are good people out there that will take good care of you. They only charge 1%, but you also need to be a serious spender, and you need to wire transfer them like 10 grand at once. So unless you have 10 grand just sitting around that you can go a couple weeks, depending on your business and your model and everything, without actually making profit, maybe that makes sense. So hit me up and we'll see if we could work together in some way, and I'll make that intro. But if not, I just want to let you know that there are good opportunities out there. But I prefer to have this whole thing in my own ecosystem, my own wheelhouse, where I have multiple verified business managers, multiple profiles warmed up and ready to use for advertising, right? So I can basically have complete control of how much I'm paying for ads, how I can scale, when I can scale, and also get those perks such as the rewards points, which is essentially a discount because I usually just turn around and put that back towards paying off my card balance for the month. Or you could actually, side note, if you have American Express Gold, I just found out you can actually transfer your points directly to a rewards point system of the airline itself, and that can like 5x or 10x the value, right? Which is nuts. We'll talk about that in another video. But just want to share this because I get this question almost every day, and people think that it's a silver bullet. Like I have people that are like, hey, I'm a beginner, I make like $2,000 a month. It's fine, I'm not judging you. They're like, I need agency accounts now. And I'm like, no, that's not how it works. You need to set up something for yourself. And then if and when the time is right, you plug in the agency ad account when you have the cash, where you can go a couple days or weeks without needing to get cash hitting your account. So yeah, that's just my opinion. So until the next video, make sure to check out the free stuff I have underneath this video. It's going to show you my bulletproof system, which is going to be huge help for you, especially if you're kind of lost and everything's disabled and you're basically out of business or struggling, you're seeing everything disabled left and right. Also, there's some other cool stuff in there too. Okay, make sure to join my free Facebook group where I share a lot of awesome content in addition to what you see here. And as always, if you got something from this video, make sure to like, comment below any questions you have, and subscribe because I will be putting out more fire content just like this. Until then, I'll see you in the next video.